Take it away.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Art DiBenedetto, Superintendent of Schools. Mr. Joe Piccirillo, Assistant Superintendent of Schools. We're here to give you some updates on where we are at the current time and place. One thing that deserves updating is the status of the sale of the Hudson Maxim School. At this point, we have a buyer. They are doing their due diligence. In fact, they're at the building right now, continuing to do their due diligence to ascertain the condition of the building so as to make an agreement that we will sign a contract in the very near future. So far, I believe the due diligence has been going well. The board attorney for real estate transactions and their attorney have been in constant contact. So I do believe that a contract language is just about finalized. I am looking forward to signing that. At that point, the board will receive a small payment of $10,000, which is non-refundable. But that means the contract then kicks into all the conditions. And there are numerous conditions there in terms of time periods where we have to provide them with certain things and they have to provide us with certain things. But the sale is going. I'm very pleased that the town has cooperated greatly. And I just wanted to get that, people tend to forget that it's in process right now, given all the circumstances that we're dealing with. One of the other items we want to update you on has to do with virtual learning. Mr. Piccirillo has much more expertise in that area than I do, so I will hand it off.
Well, one of the things just to update you on, and I know we did provide you an update a couple of weeks back when this was new and we were experimenting in a couple of different areas. Well, I'm happy to report we're still use Google as our approved means by which we are communicating lessons and having virtual learning. So we're using everything through the Google Suite, Google Classroom, and Google Meet. We've experienced such I would say, a shift from a couple different Google Meet sessions at the lower grades to really the lower grades doing a lot of Google Meet, which is really exciting. Of course, the high school and the upper middle school grades have been doing Google Meet pretty faithfully from the start. So, look, we understand, the one thing I want to put out there is we understand this is not going to replicate in the same way being face-to-face with your teacher. Student and teachers together at a table, at a desk, is something that can't be replicated. This is simply the best we can do, and to be honest, we've been really pleased with the way it's been happening the past couple of weeks. So we're prepared that this may go throughout the whole school year, and that we will not be back here in Hopatcong in a desk, students to teachers, until next school year. So we're seeing improvements, and we'll continue to go this way until we hear otherwise.
Segueing to what happens if we do come back to school. I had a meeting this week over Google Meet with our nurses. We are blessed to have an excellent cadre of nurses, and we decided to begin discussion on a reentry plan should we need it. The ladies have been doing significant research, sending me all sorts of information from different places in the country. They have received a 12-page document from the Albuquerque Public Schools, or actually the Albuquerque Board of Health, which gives recommendations towards what the schools should do. Should we open, let's say June 1st, we will be at our very best in terms of readiness. But I guarantee you, it is going to be impossible to satisfy each and every possibility that might come up. So we're working on a plan. Once we've completed it, we'll put it on the website. We'll give people a chance for input. But quite frankly, it is one of the more difficult tasks that I have come across in my 47 years of being an educator. This is a tough one. We're just beginning to see recommendations from different health management groups, and the information is sketchy. We will do the best we can to try to ensure the safety of everyone. I have some concerns, and Joe, jump in anytime. If we open school again this year, we have circumstances where we have faculty members who are more at risk due to age and other considerations. We have many children who've gone through a rather traumatic time. Some of them have lost loved ones. That alone is a gigantic traumatic incident. But even those who haven't are still faced with the idea that they're used to adults having all the answers. And this time, adults do not have all the answers. And if you know children, you know that children sense that. And that creates some trauma in their heart and soul. So I believe that that's going to be one of our biggest challenges, whether school starts again in June or even if it starts in September. I believe dealing and trying to assist those children is going to be our most important task. Some parents have expressed worries about grading. I respect that. However, I must put forth this statement that grading to me right now is a secondary concern. Our excellent students will do excellent work virtually. Our average students will have somewhat more difficulty in achieving their average status in terms of outcomes, but they'll be close. I mentioned last time we talked, our special ed kids are going to be significantly challenged. Grades are not important right now. What is important is the well-being of children. Joe, could you explain how we left it up to principals?
Yeah. Well, in terms of grading, each grade level is, as you can imagine, very, very different in terms of what you can expect to be done in terms of grading virtually. So while Art and I have our opinions on the importance of making grading a secondary priority right now, we did leave it up to the principals because they know best their buildings and what's important. So there is a circumstance at the high school where we are grading. Now, what Mr. D said, we are taking everything into consideration in here, right? So in some, you could hear this as in some areas we're being more lenient in terms of how we're grading, but I think we're being more fair in how we're grading, and I think that's important to note. So we are grading at the high school. As in the lower grade levels, we're in more of a pass-fail, no grade circumstance. But you did hear Mr. D talk about social emotional learning of the student being priority. That's totally true. These are very difficult times, and we want our first priority as a school district is to care for the kid. But second, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering about things that are related to social emotional well-being of a child, but are a little more specific related to events. These are questions that I get all the time. So we hear about parents that say, look, I have a junior in high school. They're a spring sports star. We're really relying on them to have these games in order to get a scholarship or something like that. That is something that someone could say, look, that's not school, that's not academics, that's of secondary importance. But the truth is, for a lot of families, this relates deeply to the social and emotional well-being of a child. This is where they thrive. It breaks my heart that we have a great music program here, and those students aren't able to play together. That's not something you can replicate online. It breaks my heart that we have a musical that we have pushed from this month to June, and now it looks like it's going to be in the summer if we can get it together. So those are things that, to me, I'm not dismissing them as secondary. I am looking at those as very big priorities in our mind. And graduation is another consideration. Because while graduation, does it really do anything in terms of, if we have a graduation, if you didn't have a graduation, would it make a difference? In some sense, no. But in other senses, it makes a huge difference. because you're looking at students that high school graduation is a tremendous achievement in their life, and it's not just for them, it's for their entire family. So we take none of these decisions lightly, and we are looking at all opportunities to do these events, whether it's in the summer or whether it's in a future school year.
We like live events. I don't believe a virtual graduation is in the best interest of everybody. I talked to the administrators about that yesterday. Google Meet, which Joe arranges 2 days a week, and I'm not sure that they agree 100%, but to me, a later graduation would be better than a virtual one. And I feel that our senior class, many of whom have been in Hopatcong their entire educational time, deserve a send-off that has a memory attached to it. And to me, a virtual graduation would not accomplish that.
And also, prom is another thing that we're asked about frequently. We did move prom later, but look, Art and I are really approaching this with a feeling that this is an eventuality that we will be canceled for the rest of the year. So prom, we are in discussions right now of what we could do. Again, it really comes down to what Mr. D said. A memory that is in person that can be, it's not gonna be the same, right? But can we provide some sort of opportunity where students can say, I remember when I was a senior, our prom got canceled. It was crazy, but you know what we got to do? We got to come together and whatever it is, we want there to be a memory, and we don't want it to be simply, our senior year was forgotten. That to me would be a big mistake and a loss for us.
One of the interesting outcomes of this sudden change has been the emergence of people who are doing things that go far beyond what we've asked them to do, what we expect them to do. I've always thought that the word heroes is often overused in our country. I've learned that during this time that the word is appropriate more now for more people than it usually has been. And I mention the health professionals, the nurses, only because what they're doing is simply amazing. But I do believe that there'll be a new respect for teachers put forth by communities across the country, because we constantly are getting notes and emails from parents who are saying they have trouble believing how much the teachers are doing for their kids. And online instruction is one thing. There are a lot of little things, some of which seem almost silly, but they're beautiful, and they demonstrate a love for kids. I don't know how many people I've hired in my career, a lot. And if they demonstrated a love for kids, and they demonstrated that education was a calling, I pretty much hired them, worried about the other stuff later. And that's what I'm seeing now. I'm seeing the preschool teacher dress up as a bunny. Oh no, I get them mixed up. There's so many different things. But I have her visiting kids' homes, waving from the yard with an Easter bunny and an Easter basket for a kid. And that, to me, that is amazing to me. I have a principal today visiting a family that had a loss because it's the child's birthday, bringing gifts to the child who experienced a pretty significant loss in his life, his young life. And to me, just greatly appreciate what is happening, and the complaints are less and less. And if there are complaints, they're often about some technology that might not be working or a laptop that needs replacement. The amount of good stuff we have received far outnumbers the complaints we have received.
One thing we probably want to, I don't know, Jim, if you want to talk about, I don't know how to segue into the 5-year discussion, but with all that's going on, some might say, gee, is this derailing a lot of the hopes that we had as a district when we started the school year? Because when we started in September and we had some of these initial meetings, we were talking about a lot of things we wanted to roll out. The truth is, while some things have changed, a lot of our plans for the future remain the same. So are we still looking to revamp programs, bring in career and technical education? Yes, none of that has changed. None of that has changed. We still have 3 new programs that are rolling out next year. We have a cosmetology teacher that we just hired. We have students that will be enrolled in cosmetology, in childcare, in broadcast journalism beginning next year. This is really, really exciting for our school district. So we are doing that. Do we still have a 5-year curriculum revision cycle that is going into effect? Absolutely. We have taken on a whole new ELA path, which we will start with summer curriculum writing that will begin this summer. So we're doing that. I have PDs that are happening for teachers. So there will be professional development virtually. We have one that will happen the first week of May. I have professional development for administrators. That's happening May 19th. That will be virtual. So all of these things, we are not stopping with our momentum. We are just as energized as we've ever been in terms of pushing our district forward. And we're committed to do that whether we're here in person or whether we're doing this virtually. So let there be no mistake. We have not lost steam in terms of our missions moving forward.
We do believe in the use of the term mission. This is not a job. This is a calling. We have 1,300 kids we need to take care of. We have 300 employees we need to work with. It's always been a blessing to the district. I'm not trying to patronize him in front of the camera.
No, please do.
But things have happened here that I certainly would not have been able to accomplish without his experience and knowledge and energy. And if anything, the district is blessed because he's a boy. We have a Board of Education meeting Monday night, which we will be streaming. So we're streaming a virtual meeting.
We do have a board meeting coming up Monday. The board meeting will obviously take a different form than our normal board meetings, but here's how this will work. So we will be doing it through Google Meet. All of the board members will meet through Google Meet, and then that screen will be broadcast via YouTube. So you can imagine this. You'll have several little boxes of board member heads, and you will be able to watch that through YouTube. Now, the public participation piece is the one area that will be a little more unorthodox, because what you'll have to do to participate publicly is you'll have to send both myself and Mr. DiBenedetto an email on Monday with your question. Then Mr. McLean, board president, will read that email live, and we will respond to it. The reason we can't do it in any other way is if we invited everybody to a Google Meet, I can tell you, people would not be muting themselves. People would be talking about what they're eating for dinner, and it would be very, very confusing. So in this way, you can just have the board members, myself, Mr. D, there present, and then anyone that wants to participate publicly, and we invite people to, they would have to email us their question.
Before we end, I must share a worry, and I must also share the potential of decent news. My worry is that because the state will see significant decreases in tax collection, that we might be faced with additional aid cuts. That would be catastrophic to us. As you know, we expected an $880,000 cut for next year, and we got double that. We dealt with it, not comfortably. We're losing a few excellent staff members. But that is a very, very strong worry that I have. It must be remembered, our district and our teachers are certainly earning their money. Everyone is getting paid. Public employees who are under contract are all getting paid. So I have 70 paraprofessionals who are getting paid, and some of them are working with kids, very thankfully. But for the most part, people are being paid salary at a time when there's not a heavy work expectation. There are other categories of people who are in the transportation co-op who serve as bus aides. They're being paid, but they're not working. So there is a chance that the federal government may provide school districts with some relief under the CARES Act, and we're very hopeful that that happens. I believe the first item I mentioned, the negative one, is more likely to happen than the second item I mentioned, but I've learned to be rather pessimistic when it comes to finances. Be positive. This will end. We will survive. And we'll be back to normal. God bless you.
Look, we are all in this together. We are all fighting every day, and we realize that while things are very difficult now, this will not last forever. I'm very sorry for the seniors and for those that have their school year impacted, but just know things will get better. We do this together. Please stay safe.